And good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. It is Tuesday, January 10th, and we are the Investing Bros. If you are new here, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and that like button at the same time if you're capable of doing so. We go live every single morning of the week, 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we got a great show lined up today. Two big pieces of news have come out this morning, and that is that Coinbase is letting go of another 950 employees. What does that mean for the crypto space? Because I know the immediate knee-jerk reaction would be this is bearish, we have bad things coming, but potentially could this actually be a good thing for Coinbase and crypto down the road? We're going to discuss that and more. Also this morning, Jerome Powell is addressing people about inflation, talking about money. Where are we going to hear him go with this? Is he going to give us an updated version of what's happening? Is he going to stick to his guns and say that the Fed is going to remain hawkish? We might actually tune in for a little bit of that because I do believe he's speaking while we are live. So make sure you stay tuned for the entire episode today. We got other stories and TA as well, but those are the two big headlines. We want to make sure you are up to date on everything you need to know. I am joined by my great co-host, T. Shroom, wearing his beanie. How are you doing this morning, T. Shroom?
I'm feeling warm and I'm feeling spry. So that's good. I'm also feeling pretty confident that I'm going to be able to keep my beard. I don't know if you guys saw, but I made a short saying that if we get to 2,000 subs on Investing Bros by January 13th, which is fast approaching, that I will shave my beard. So stay tuned with that, and we shall see. Maybe by the 13th, I will have to shave my beard.
Maybe. It's going to take a lot more. If some people have asked Tim, what would it take for you to shave your beard? I can go ahead and tell you guys. And I'm being 100% serious right now. 100. I will shave my beard if, and this is a hard if, by the end of 2023, Investing Bros gets to 100,000 subscribers and my Twitter at Tims_TA gets to 100,000 followers.
Gotcha.
If those two things happen in the year 2023, I will shave my beard. If it does not happen, I'll come up with a new thing for 2024, and I'll get a new scenario that something extreme has to happen to shave my beard. But that is where I'm at right now. Guys, we got 19 people watching. We got about 15 likes. Let's go ahead and get those mittens up. Those white mittens need to be a little higher of the numbers. T-Shirt, you got something?
We've got a quote of the day, and that quote is coming from ESPN.com, and that quote is that the Georgia Bulldogs have won. They beat TCU 67-7. And
what did you say? 67? It says 65.
Well, that's because I misread it.
Oh, true.
But we also have another quote here from Gandhi, the Mahatma Gandhi. He said, "It is health that is real wealth, and not pieces of gold and silver." So that was always sobering, a sobering message there from Mahatma Gandhi.
I'm pretty sure if you read into that quote, go back to it. Look at it. It's health that is real wealth, not the pieces of gold and silver. He's an anti-gold and silver guy. He probably is pro-Bitcoin.
More than likely, I think, is what kind of the real takeaway from
if you're really trying to read between the lines of what Gandhi's getting at, he is pro-Bitcoin.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's 100% what this quote is getting at. But what did you think of the game last night, Tim?
Okay, all right. That was one of the worst national championships. Maybe not as bad as the 55-0 beatdown Bama over Notre Dame here years ago. It'll just start the rumors that whoever wins the SEC is really the champion. I mean, you still got to play the games. You got to play Michigan should have beaten TCU, but Michigan just decided not to show up, so that's why you had to play the game. TCU won, but I feel bad for TCU. They had no business being there. They had no business, and of course, all the Alabama fans are going to be rumbling that they should have been there instead, and they're probably right. But it'll be interesting here in a couple years when we have a 12-team playoff. Maybe some more games being played can knock off some of those bigger squads. We'll have to see. Either way, I went to bed at I didn't watch past mid third quarter. It was over.
Sure. Well, I think I speak for a lot of people watching and shut up about football and get to the crypto.
Well, thank you for that. What are some other stories, T-Shim, that we're going to be talking about today other than Jerome Powell and Coinbase?
That's an excellent question. Well, at any moment during the stream, we could be piping in Jerome himself because he is speaking live right now, but he's on a panel. So there's some other people who are far less important who are speaking as well, and he's speaking at Riksbank, which is the Central Bank of Sweden. So we've got that story, and we've got Grayscale Bitcoin Trust shares jumping 12%, narrowing the discount to the spot of Bitcoin. And we've also got Mark Cuban to depose in Voyager Ponzi scheme lawsuit.
Big difference in those two words, so that's really crucial.
Well, he probably disposed something. I doubt he's just holding on to all the garbage. He's probably been doing some disposal. And then Coinbase. Coinbase has says Coinbase to slash 20% of workforce in second major round of job cuts. So they haven't done it yet. And I think we're going to do some TA on Coinbase and Grayscale today. I'm excited for that because you don't get to see Tim do a lot of ETF analysis or stock analysis.
Here's the other thing. We're about to check in with chat. I want you guys to go ahead and put in right now, what are some altcoins you guys want to see some TA on? Because the technical analysis, the charts aren't moving that much. So I'm going to take a quick look at Bitcoin and Cardano because those are some fan favorites. I am not going to look at Ethereum, though, because we're going to be creating an afternoon video with an Ethereum price prediction. There's some interesting things happening on the charts for Ethereum. So 100 points to anyone who in chat can just predict what I'm looking at on the charts with Ethereum. So you got to give me, I'll give you a hint. It is going to be a price prediction video based off of something happening on the chart. So if you can tell me in chat what is happening on Ethereum's chart and what that price prediction should be, you will get 100 points. To what? I have no idea. But go ahead and let me know what coins you want to see some TA on because I do not expect to go very long on technical analysis. Before we do that, though, let's go ahead and check in with chat. Let's see who is here this morning. Mr. J is first in chat. He said, morning, everyone. Looking forward to the video. Curtis Rourke is here as well, asking about if we're Jags fans. Are you a Jag fan, T-Shirt?
I consider myself a local. So, yeah, I'm a Jags fan. Yeah. We live in Gainesville, so it's definitely quite a stone's throw. It's a far distance from Jacksonville. Stone's throw indicates usually that it's short distance, so I'm not going to use that metaphor.
For anyone who's lost, Jags are a professional football team here, and they're in Jacksonville, Florida. And usually, the last couple of years, they have been absolutely horrible, but they just made the playoffs. I whenever I see the Jags play, I root for them. They're usually because they're underdogs. I am not when it comes to the NFL, I don't really have a team that I'm married to that team. I have players, and I love watching those players play and develop. And let's see who else is here, though. Trevor is here. Tyler Main is here. What we got? We got
Crypto Mini Bike,
Grand Rupee Incorporated, Al Bundles,
June Volt,
Servando Estrada, V Slim, Adam Delgado, Justin Eubanks, Wes M. Good morning to Wes M. That's the first time I think I've read
Cesar Jimenez. I see
Cesar Jimenez. Ooh, some great names here. Micah is here. Crypto Mini Bike, Philly Skills 1428, Donovan Jarvis,
Jonathan,
CBD Unicorn is here. And I think that is it. Steve Strum also, we got a shout out.
Steve Strum,
the number one viewer of the show. He watches on 12 devices at once.
Yeah,
is the rumors I'm hearing now. He ups it every single day. So
it's wild stuff, guys.
It's great stuff. Let's go ahead and jump in, though. We got today. I think today's gonna be a little bit lower of a view day, just because I think at the same time there's Jerome Powell thing. I think other people are watching that one. That is okay. We're gonna go live anyways. Let's jump over to Bitcoin's chart. We're gonna start off here on the 4-hourly chart, where there's not necessarily a whole lot developing. I think what you're going to see, though, I think a lot of people are going to start to try to pick out here a bullish flag pattern. It's not necessarily the cleanest one in the world. Like if I were to go to the hourly chart and try to draw one for you, we do have a strong level of support building. It's the level of resistance that I'm a little confused on. I don't know if there's really necessarily one worth drawing just yet. I want to see how this plays out. But going back out to if you were to go out to the 4-hourly chart, you're going to see there's a lot more of a flag pole starting to form. So let's continue to wait to see what's happening there. Either way, a lot of people are going to read this as a bullish continuation pattern. We will see. I told you guys in previous videos, I do think that Bitcoin has a decent chance of getting up into the this zone of former support turn resistance once again above maybe 17,600. We might reject right at 17,600. Maybe we go back and hit the highs that we had back here in December and go back above 18,000. I think that's a little less likely. But I definitely think it is possible. You guys will see also, though, I think that this little short rally, I wouldn't be surprised to see us continue to kind of go up and down, up and down, up and down until we get up to that level. I am starting to see on our oscillators, if we move into some of them, we're looking at RSI. We do not have our bearish RSI divergence just yet, but we are in the process of building what would look like very strong bearish RSI divergence, meaning a reversal to the downside. And what I'm looking at here is look at the peaks of the RSI. We made it all the way up to 78 here just a couple of days ago, or I guess this was yesterday because it's a 4-hourly chart. And currently we're right at a 70, yet the price action, the candle body, we're right below the candle body close. And remember, when doing technical analysis and trying to look for divergences, when you're using candles, you do not use the wicks, you use the candle body closes, because the RSIs, the RSI level will continue to adjust based off of where the candle fluctuates. So that's why you are at one point, if a candle jumps up here, you might see the RSI jump up, but if the candle starts to come back down, you'll see the RSI drop back down as well. So that's why you use candle body closes. We are right below. All we have to do would be close above 17,300 during a 4-hourly candle, and yet keep the RSI below 78, and that would be our strong bearish RSI divergence, which would signal either A, it's time right now to go ahead and reverse. Sometimes you see triple touches, like sometimes you see 3 in a row happen. So keep your eyes anywhere between where we currently are at and 17,600. Maybe if we get a lot of bullish momentum, maybe based off what Jerome Powell says, we could get up above that. But that's kind of still the zone I'm looking at for some short-term rejection. Zooming out on Bitcoin, I still think that long term, when we're still in a falling wedge pattern, I still think we're kind of making our way back up towards this red line and rejecting. And I would expect, when we're talking about new lows, this is another thing, is despite the green candle we had yesterday, a lot of people were feeling it. That does not mean that the bottom absolutely is in. I'm still expecting us to come down to the level close to about 14,300, maybe even a little lower, find support down here before we finally get a breakout, maybe early in Q2. Again, and it's not going to be a fast thing. I think we're going to break out and then slowly start making our way back up. I would love to see us get above 20,000 sometime soon, but I don't see that being realistic right now for Bitcoin. I think we're going to be rejecting here soon. Let me know what you guys think in chat. Last thing I'll say, though, on the 4-hourly chart, you guys are seeing Luxago's oscillator, because I told you guys I was talking about oscillators, massively overextended, overbought right now. So it's another one saying, hey, maybe not this very second, but a reversal to the downside is coming very soon. Let's pull up, the last thing I want to do, let's pull up Luxago and just see what it is saying. You guys know that we love Luxago. If you don't have it, there's a link in the description down below that not only will that benefit you to go ahead and have it and add it to your tool bag, but it also is one way you guys can support us and our channel, because that's just one of our affiliate links. So we're in the reversal zone here on Luxago. Another reason to suspect we're probably getting rejected here very soon. Yes, we're under a sell order during an upswing, so you're not going to see that be a very significant sell order. We got a green trend catcher, but we're a little bit above that one. So a lot of times you do want to see it at least come down and come back and touch this. Anytime you get too far away from that trend catcher, you're kind of like a rubber band. The farther you pull it away, the harder it's going to pull back to it. So right now, a lot of things kind of suggesting for Bitcoin. Expect potentially maybe a little more move to the upside and then a pullback to come back down to earth. Let's see here. Last thing I want to look at, technically speaking, the only liquidity we have on the 4-hourly chart above us would be going back up to these highs around over 18,000 that we had back in December. I don't see that necessarily happening. If we have a major bullish move, maybe, but again, looking at those reversal zones, looking at how overextended we are in RSI on oscillators, I think more realistically, we're talking about coming and pulling back down here to around 16,900. And if the bears really get control now, we're talking about coming back down even lower. We'll have to wait and see. It would not surprise me for Bitcoin to pull back down to these levels, form a resistance back here, and then we find support here and we make our way back up towards the red line somewhere over here, maybe later on in January. Let me know what you guys think, though. Let's move on and go look at Cardano. Let me pull these down here, though, really quickly. And let's look at Cardano's TA, and then I'm going to go to chat, and I'm going to look at what you guys want us to do. So we talked about this yesterday, but Cardano rejected almost just perfectly on the 4-hourly chart, right at that red line of resistance. Let's go out to the daily chart and look at what that is. This is the longer time frame falling wedge pattern that we have been talking about. So yes, we just broke bullish out of a shorter term falling wedge pattern with a price prediction right up here around 38 cents. But longer time frame, this red and green line we have going on, this is a falling wedge pattern that actually would give us a prediction up around 56, if I'm not wrong. I always get rid of it, and I'm not sure why. Let me bring this up one more time and see where this would potentially say. Let's pretend we end up breaking out somewhere down here. This would give us a price prediction. Yeah, okay, 56 cents on ADA would be the price prediction if we were to break out. This, of course, would take us above that prediction that the Cardano community made here just a week ago, saying that by the end of January, they're expecting a 49-cent Cardano. We made a video all about that and the probabilities and the realistic nature of it. I still think being there before the end of January is a little aggressive, but absolutely doable. But more realistically, what I'm looking at is the price prediction that we made based off this smaller falling wedge pattern right here at 38 cents. Give it some time, but I do think that Cardano, especially with what it is kind of bringing into the picture, it can definitely get there. One of the stories, I don't know if we had this on our level, so I'll just bring it up really quickly. There's a story on You Today that even within the last 7 days, we are seeing more and more addresses that are whales on Cardano continue to buy. For example, right here it says that 28 unique addresses holding more than 1 million ADA tokens have appeared on the network with over 1 million ADA stored, meaning that the volume is picking back up and these wallets are starting to buy more Cardano. Anytime you see whales and smart money buying up something, that's a good sign that it has more move to the upside. There's always the chance that some of these wallets are just trying to manipulate the market. They give it a little bit of pump so they can take profit, but ones that large, and 28 of them, I think that's more of a sign of them being convinced that the Cardano as a whole is just oversold at the moment, not necessarily manipulation going on. But I want you guys to give me your takes. Do you think that whales buying right now is a sign of things to come, or it's just a coincidence, nothing really major? Don't put too much stock in it. Let me know what you guys think. Let's look at a couple other things here. Let's pull up the oscillators. We are overextended on the daily chart, now being at 70, but we do not have any bearish RSI divergence. Also, while the Luxago oscillator is climbing up, we're not yet in a space where we're saying this overbought. So another reason to think that 38 cents, yes, we're rejecting currently, we're at that red line, but that 38-cent region is definitely within grasp. Going down to the 4-hourly chart is where you're going to see the signs of saying, all right, it's probably going to be time to reject here very soon. Technically don't have our bearish RSI divergence. Our Luxago oscillator is definitely overextended to the upside, but similar to what we were saying about Bitcoin, watch potentially a push to the upside. The RSI doesn't get to go that high. Maybe the price, even though it's able to, let me grab my marker right there. Maybe it is able to push all the way up to that level and come back down. And in the same timeline, the RSI stays lower and it comes back down here. And that would give us our bearish RSI divergence. Just because we're going to see a higher level on Cardano and people have been waiting for a long time does not necessarily mean that we are done with downside movement. I'm not yet ready to declare that the bottom is fully in on Cardano. I will say if we're able to clear 50 cents and get up here, if we get enough momentum, and that happens with Cardano, again, it's been dormant for a long time. People haven't been spending money on it. If that money comes in and we get above 50 cents, I think there's a good chance that what happens is we rally above 50 cents and then the current level we're sitting at, 31 cents, 30-cent region, that becomes support once again. The reason for that is look at how long that was support back here between the months of, let's see, back here in November, and then this kind of carried all the way into December, this 30-cent region. It also acted, 32 cents acted as support right back here in October. I think there's a good chance if we can get that high, that when we see Bitcoin start to fall, when we see other coins start to fall, maybe Cardano sets a new bottom, and that bottom's going to be around the 30-cent region. A lot of support at that area. Even if I were to switch over, let's go to a different chart because Coinbase doesn't give us a full out history. I'm going to go to the daily chart to see more of this. You're going to see that this level was significant even back here during the last bull market. There was a lot of hesitation in the 30-cent region as we were making our way back up to new highs and then going to $3. 30 cents has been historically a great spot for Cardano to be hesitant. Again, 40-cent region right here was rejection. We had a lot of play action right here. So if you were to like go over the entire history of Cardano, yes, there's going to be a lot of pressure down here, but let's look at this fixed range volume profile and see where there's a lot of significance here. Yeah, okay, so like I said, right there, we got a lot down here because we spent a long time, but as you're starting to get up towards the 30-cent region, there's also, it's really hard to see because there's so much volume down here, but right there in that 30-cent region, 40-cent region, there's a lot of volume too, and then it starts to get thin above that point. So again, Cardano, not ready to say the bottom is in just yet, but if we can rally and we do end up going back above 50 cents, watch for 30 cents to become a nice new level of support as it's making moves. I mean, there's also, last thing I'll say there, big upgrades coming. What is it? CIP, what's the number? 1629 or something?
ISO 222.
No, that's, okay, thank you for that, T-Shrim. No, we're talking about the upgrade coming to Cardano here very soon. That is going to allow more decentralized decision-making and stuff with Cardano. So I'll talk about that more in a future video. But that's what we got going on with Cardano. Let's look at Luxago really quickly just before we move on. We're gonna go back to chat and see what they have. Daily chart, we have a sell signal, but again, this is a little upswing, so I'm not necessarily putting too much stock into that. We have more room. Look at that. On the daily chart, look where that reversal cloud is right at, that 38-cent mark. That's one more sign to me. Again, it's not set in stone, doesn't have to happen this way, but one more reason to suspect potentially that is where we're going to end up going before we reverse. There is a nice little liquidity right up at 42 cents, and again, that's on our way back up towards that 49-cent region. Don't see that happening necessarily before January. Would love to be wrong though, however. That is what we got for Cardano. You can go off my screen now, T-Shroom. Real quick, as we're waiting for people to, we're going to kind of research here and see what other people want to see TA on. Any updates on Jerome Powell? Is he speaking?
Yes, there has been a major update on Jerome Powell. Zero Hedge has tweeted that the federal chair Powell does not comment on policy or economic outlook. That is a new policy. That has definitely not been the case in the past. But as you can see, he is on this feed, and I'll give you a little volume for this. But I haven't seen him on the screen, and it looks like he's issued a statement that he will not be discussing or giving any comment on monetary policy.
Well, doesn't that just?
It makes it easier for us.
I mean, it means we don't need to listen to what he says, but I would love to hear his updated thought. And I guess he really won't have a new updated thought until we get the CPI numbers, the core CPI numbers this Thursday. So here in 2 days, we'll have more information that he could comment on. Yeah. So
I think the closest to like market moving information that he may dispense is essentially like his views on the future of inflation and things like that. But in this interview, it seems like he doesn't want to comment on American monetary policy moving forward like he would in the minutes, or he would at one of the press conferences, or an American bank conference. So I don't know why he's doing that. Maybe it's because it's a foreign interview, but who knows?
Yeah. We had a prediction. Trevor says ETH going back to 1,500. Interesting prediction. That's not the level, and you didn't give a reason for it, but I love that you took a stab at it right there. Caesar wants us to look at Gala and I think I'm in Phantom, but it says and Phantom. Adam, look please. Matic. Let's take a look at a couple of those. Matic. Those are ones I've looked at before. Adam and Gala. Those are all ones that I have on here. So let's do that. Let's see. Matic. Let's start with Matic here. Let me pull down. Well, I'll leave Luxago up. We got a sell signal that just came in on Adam. It'd be interesting to watch how that one plays out. That one did hit right at the peak. So at the moment, it looks like a good sell signal. But if we start to rally, of course, that's one that isn't necessarily perfect. You guys can see during some of these upward movements, the sell signals have not necessarily been. I mean, that was a decent sell signal right there. Gave us a little bit of a dip before this one. This one caught it early, went a little higher, then ended up retracing. But buys look like they've been better signals from what I'm seeing on the contrarian side. A little early on this one, but we came in close. So let's continue to watch how that one plays out. We got a lot of room above us. We got a large level of liquidity here on the daily chart for Adam, sitting right above us at 92 cents. We're currently sitting at around 84. So could we continue to move to the upside? We'll have to see. Let me pull down Lux Algon. Let's just take a look at Matic in general. So one thing I've been talking about here, yes, we had this pull through back in November that kind of broke this a little bit, but we're in a little bit of a trading channel that we've been in now for a while. Recently came down, touched support. I think I made a comment on this when this happened, that as we got down those levels, watch potential buys. Are we going to be jumping above? There's another level right here. Former support turned into resistance, this red dotted line. Can people see that? Yeah, they can see that. We're currently back above it, so hopefully that's another bullish sign that we can find support on this both support and resistance level and continue to the upside. Watch as we move closer towards 90. You know, what I say earlier, there's liquidity up here at 92 cents. There's a good chance we can go up there just to get back to this level of resistance. And the question is, can we actually end up turning that into anything, or do we get rejected once again? Let's look at our oscillators and see what they are saying. Not necessarily overextended. We do have some bearish. If this doesn't develop into anything else, we got some bearish divergence starting to form here. RSI peaks are starting to go up. Price action is going down. So that's another one. You want to see the price action get back up here to cancel out strong bearish RSI divergence. Best case scenario, well, if we can get up into this zone, we'll cancel it out completely from that point of view to beat out this little close right there at 95 cents. If we match it and we close right at it, that would still be weak bearish RSI divergence. But again, oscillators, we're looking here, not necessarily on the daily chart saying that we're overextended too much. So again, more room to the upside is possibly there. I don't necessarily like what I'm seeing in terms of volume. It does not look like Matic got the same uptick in volume that some of the other projects got. Let me look at how far it's even up from this little dip here compared to other projects. It made it up as high as 16, so that's respectable for sure. 13% up from that bottom right now, but other projects are a lot higher with larger market cap. So that means Matic, Matic did an okay job, but I don't think Matic was one of the special coins during this shorter term rally. But still, there's definitely room to the upside. The 4-hourly chart, I'm sure, is going to say it's overextended. Yeah, so we're developing similar to Bitcoin and what we're talking about. We're overextended. It says it's overbought at the moment on the shorter timeline. Probably have one more good push up. We got some bearish divergence we could still form with this. So keep an eye on that with Matic. What I'm saying wasn't one of the exciting, from what I'm saying, wasn't one of the exciting ones. Yes, there's a little bit of volume right here, but when you're looking at the daily chart, these other projects had a bigger upticks in volume. Good for the last couple of 4-hourly candles, but I think there's a good another push to the upside before it reverses. But I think it's going to be coming to a close here very soon. What was the other ones? They said Matic,
Phantom.
Let's go. Well, let's not do Phantom. Let's do Atom. Atom, so we're looking here. It's gotten back up into a zone. Let's see. This is not an example. So this isn't one of the coins I have in a trading channel. This zone has been resistance and support for a while now, ever since back here in May of 2022. It's back up in the zone. Are we going to reject there? Or are we going to be able to push on through? This is one we've been following, Adam. It's one of the projects that we're going to be making a video here soon of what our portfolio more than likely in 2023 is going to look like, including coins. We might not make the percentage breakdown because we don't, the reason why, not because we don't want to be transparent, because I don't know if T-Stream and I really know yet where we want our percentages to exactly be. But we're going to give you some of the projects that we are both excited about for this 2023, bottom of bear market, beginning of bull market, and then what we want to follow into 2024.
And is it going to only be crypto?
No, we're going to include a couple different things. Stocks.
CDs.
Yeah. I mean, even like, dude, I'm already making plans. This is kind of tangential, but we're going to get back into TA here in a second. I'm already making plans for the peak of the next bull market. So sometime in 2025, I'm actually going to... there's a certain amount I'm going to leave, but there's a good amount. I'm going to actually liquidate some crypto and start getting into some real estate stuff. I got a lot of stuff I want to do. Just listening to some of these great stories of people who invest in real estate for Airbnb purposes and stuff. So that'll be an addition to the show. We'll start covering getting into real estate and watching those markets and
maybe buy up some land and sell it to prisons.
That's a new one.
Prison builders.
Is that something that you study a lot?
No.
Oh, okay, good. Well, let's go back to Adam here really quickly. Okay, so right here, we're going to probably see, you're going to see a lot of similarities with a lot of projects. More than likely, out in the daily chart, we're going to see that there's still room to the upside. Yeah, sure enough. Yes, we got over the 70, but there's still room. We're not flashing. Ooh, barely flashing on Luxago oscillator. You guys probably cannot even see it, but believe me, it is there. There's a very small red cloud suggesting overbought at the moment, but still definitely room to the upside. You have a thought?
It's not super. Jerome is talking now, so maybe we could switch over there and see what he's saying. But
I mean, the fact that he said that there's not. Go to it really quick. Let's just hear what he's saying.
See what the man has to say.
By the elected branches of government.
Speak so slow.
Grants of independence to agencies like ours should be exceedingly rare, explicit, tightly circumscribed, and limited to those issues that clearly warrant protection from short-term political considerations. With independence comes the responsibility to provide the transparency that enables effective oversight, in our case by Congress, which in turn supports the Fed's democratic legitimacy. And at the Fed, we treat this as an active, not a passive responsibility. Over the past several decades, we've steadily broadened our efforts to provide meaningful transparency about the basis for and the consequences of the decisions that we make in service to the American people. We are tightly focused on achieving our statutory mandate
possible
and on providing useful and appropriate transparency.
Okay, I think we can.
Yeah, I don't, especially when he had said that he wasn't going to be doing. I do love that we got that little tidbit that Jerome Powell is being transparent.
Yeah, finally, he says it. Somebody says it.
Somebody says it.
But he's a obviously important figure. If you're new to finance, if you're new to crypto, Jerome Powell, why would we care about him? He's the chairman of the Federal Reserve of the United States. He's speaking at a convention over at the Central Bank of Sweden, and then there has been a tweet from a reliable source saying that he's not going to issue any new fireworks statements about American monetary policy. So pretty much pointless, but we love to see that he's alive. It's good to see that he's still kicking.
Let's look, while we have a couple more minutes here, let's look and just see what is happening here on DOT, because we have not done DOT TA in a while. And again, it was similar to Cardano, was in a falling wedge pattern on a longer timeline back here since July. Broke below it, used that support line as resistance. Now we're back up in it. It's not quite as close to that resistance level as Cardano is, but DOT is another one. It's heading back up. What's going to be interesting about DOT from a fundamental standpoint, there's a lot of debate out there, and I don't have enough information to go in depth on this right now. But with the CEO stepping down, Gavin Woods, was the CEO of DOT, right? I'm not mixing
That's
that
correct.
Okay, good.
No,
I want to make sure I'm not sometimes there's so many names in crypto you jumble up. With Gavin Wood stepping down, some people are saying, "Oh, he's just stepping down because he didn't want to be CEO." That's what he said. He announced that I don't really want to be CEO anymore. He's still working for the company, and maybe that's the truth, and hopefully that's the truth. However, it's very hard for CEOs to step down. That there's something at play that is not necessarily very fun to talk about. Is reasons why CEOs step down, especially when they stay in the company. There's not many humans in this world that like to give up that level of authority and then stay in the company. Most times when CEOs step down because of their own decision making, they want to retire or there's a better opportunity out there for them. But to literally just take a demotion, I wonder partly if that it has to do with the team questioning his decision making. Maybe something happened. The other thing that I noticed when we were looking at that chart here a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about how Cardano was the most developed coin in 2022 and DOT was second. Well, guess what? The line for DOT development wise started falling, and guess what? It started on the exact day that Gavin announced that he was stepping down. That's not talking about the price started going down, like the price responded to it. I'm saying development started slowing down when Gavin Wood stepped away. What does that mean? I don't have enough information to make an informed opinion one way or the other, but I don't think it's as simple as, oh, he just was tired of the job, wanted to step down. Like, no, there's a reason why he stepped down and development slowed down. And I want to find out more about that information, about that situation and what happened there. But it is 9:31, so that means the market is open. I know there's a couple ones we already hinted at we're going to be looking at, but T-Shroom, why don't you take it away? What are some things that you're noticing right now since we've been open now for about a minute and a half? What's happening?
Yeah, so we'll head over to my charts here and take a look at exactly that and recalibrate our camera system here. And we'll go ahead and dive in. So starting off with energy, as we do so often, UNG is down. So natural gas coming in really, really low. And we'll skip ahead because we've spent a lot of time on energy this week already. But as you can see here, oil trying to make a play back up to that support, that line of resistance now. And it wicked up to it yesterday. And whether or not it can try to make it through today, we shall see. My guess is that no, it can't. We'll take a look over here at the S&P. We'll take a look at indexes and check those bad boys out. And overall, you're seeing green. So that's good in the early minutes of trading here in the New York session. Dow is they're all pretty even. So you're not really getting any kind of clear rotationary indicator here of like which is it risk on, risk off today. But ultimately, yeah, green. So that's good. Let's go ahead and go down into crypto. So I've added a line here, and I'll get to that in just a second. But overall, green in crypto. Litecoin coming in red. Overall, pretty green. Let's take a look at this. This is something you may not know about. You need a brokerage account, and by brokerage I mean something like Robinhood, which there is a link in the description for. I get a free stock, you get a free stock. But ultimately, this is a reverse index of Bitcoin. So what has Tim been talking about today? Looking at the Bitcoin charts, Bitcoin is up, okay? Do you think that that's sustainable? Do you think that it's going to reverse? Do you think that it's going to go higher from here? I personally think Bitcoin's probably going to go higher in the next few days before it goes lower. But you may think, oh, I want to try to time that and try to, get money, make gains, profit from the temporary decline of Bitcoin. Well, you can do that right now for free on Robinhood. It's commissionless, and you don't have to trade futures or options. This is the way you do it. Look, and you can get a 7% gain here as Bitcoin returns to those lows and potentially pushes lower. A lot of people are thinking that Bitcoin's going to go down to 9,000 or sub 12,000 at least. Why wouldn't you try to hedge some of those, especially if you have a big bag of Bitcoin? Why wouldn't you hedge against that? I certainly do when I trade. That ticker is BITI, and you cannot trade that on like a crypto exchange like Coinbase. You got to get it through something like Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, E-Trade. But we have a link to Robinhood in the description so that you can fade Bitcoin. Again, I'm not a bear on Bitcoin long term, but we're traders. There's no reason why you can't win both ways. Going down into metals, you see steel coming up 0.9%. Gold up 0.3%. I believe there's a breakout on that, so we'll take a look at that. Silver down 0.5%. So silver, as I predicted, kind of coming back and underperforming in the precious metals just kind of showing, it's so far from its 200-day moving average that I don't think it has the momentum to move further up to the upside. But gold is the opposite. Yes, it has broken through. I saw somebody on Twitter, I think it was Tom Crown, pointed this out, that it has gold has broken to the upside of its resistance, whether or not of this resistance in this channel, whether or not it can come back and form support from that is definitely still yet to be determined. But as you can see here, it's just barely broken that channel. So still early days. It broke it, and it broke it before and moved back in. But a lot of bullish momentum kind of pounding on the door of that RSI kind of toward the middle here. So potentially room to run, but could be a sign of weakness. Let's take a look at the MACD. Again, this is on gold. You are seeing, and this is on the 1 hour, so I should probably zoom out. I apologize for that, guys. No point in looking at the MACD on the 1 hour on a live stream here. So you're getting ascending histogram. This is back on the daily. Ascending green histograms one after another, and the MACD line's pointing higher there. So it's hard to make a bearish argument for this other than it's moving away from its 200-day moving average, and the fundamental story for that is probably found down here in the Dixie, and we'll get to that down in just a second. But ultimately, gold looking very bullish, the most bullish that I've seen today on the charts so far.
I was watching a video the other day where a guy was talking about he believes that within the next couple of weeks, we could see risky assets take a little bit of a rally, whereas the more considered safer ones like gold and silver and others maybe take a little backseat. So we're seeing gold be a little more overextended to the upside. It would make sense that the stock markets, which have been down, take a little bit of a rally before another big dip, and we're going to kind of see a bouncing effect where there's going to be a little bit of a risk on trading situation going on for a couple of weeks before another big dip. It's not just me. Other analysts are saying it. Look at the end of quarter one, beginning of quarter two. That's when potentially things could get ugly again, and then we'll start to bottom out. We'll feel it out during quarter two. Quarter three, you're seeing more bullish stuff come in. And quarter four, historically, especially in crypto, has been the signs, based off of when with a lot of different things with where halving cycles happen and a lot of things. Quarter four is where we should start see some more bullish momentum come. Like for those who were here, or if you want to go back and do your history, study your history, go back to 2020. Of course, we had the pandemic, which threw a lot of things off. But 2020 was a very boring year. But late there in quarter four, things started getting, quarter three, it started getting back up towards some new stuff. Quarter four got very, very interesting. Set new highs technically on its way into 2021, which, of course, was a very, very big year for Bitcoin and other cryptos.
Yeah.
But almost think the same timeline here. Treat 2023 almost similarly to how we treated 2020.
Yeah. No, that's a good analysis, I'd say. It is definitely, if you can say anything, you could say 2023 is going to be an interesting year for investors and for traders. You can see here the Dixie coming in slightly red, pretty much undetermined today, though. That could go either way through the trading session here. Bond yields coming in green, decidedly green, up on average here, more than 1%. And then big tech coming in pretty mixed. You see Google and Meta shedding. But you also see Tesla adding and Microsoft adding. Microsoft was a big name that has been down early this week, late last week and early this week, as it tries to make a play back to the upside. And as you'll see, it is a very similar chart to the S&P because it is so overweight in the S&P and many other in the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones as well. So you can see there Microsoft trying to make a comeback. Let's see what Luxalgo says about Microsoft. So still under, on the daily chart, still under a sell signal, and the trend tracer is red there, but it just barely wicked on that reversal cloud, and now it's making a move back to the upside. This obviously, it's moving, it's coinciding with technicals, but it is obviously moved much more by fundamentals there. But if anything's going to move technically, it's going to be Microsoft, that's for sure. So
Microsoft had a headline this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, was that something we were discussing later, or do you want to mention that now?
Let's round this out and let's get to Coinbase, because we're going to get to that in a second. We'll get to that story. I think we will have time to get to it though. Cannabis up, mid cap stocks,
You're looking at me. If
sorry about that. Good call. Mid cap tech up, except Robinhood down a little bit. Cannabis, as you can see here, who's up, who's down. Tilray had bad earnings yesterday, is recovering a little bit. And then oil producers broadly up. So that's going to round out pretty much your market overall. We will take a look here at inflation really quick, just because we are getting a print this week, a CPI print. What is it, Thursday? Let me turn Lux Algo off on this. This is unemployment. This is not inflation. So this is inflation. You can't look at it in log. So as you can see here, inflation having a nice little peak here, pretty obviously confirmed peak there, coming down. And I believe the estimates are 6.5. So we will want to see inflation come down to around here, and that will just further confirm that inflation is receding, is moving in the bullish direction, and that all of the efforts that the Federal Reserve has been implementing with their rate hikes have been successful. But are we ready to go ahead and jump into the stories for today?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So doing that, let's take a look here. You can see, first of all, Bitcoin holds steady above 17 as the U.S. dollar tepid ahead of Powell's speech. We've already kind of crossed this story out because it has been disclosed that he is not going to make any big statements there. So pretty much a non-issue, nothing burger of a story there. But there are some very, very deep stories to cover still. Grayscale, Bitcoin Trust shares jumped 12%, narrowing the discount. Now, this may be something you're unfamiliar with, so let's dive into the details. First of all, GBTC is the ticker for the Bitcoin Grayscale ETF, and it is a publicly listed financial vehicle that gives investors exposure to Bitcoin without needing to buy and hold the asset physically. So it's popular among institutions and folks who are hesitant to buy Bitcoin straight up on exchanges. And recently we've seen that hesitation has been validated for a lot of reasons, especially through FTX. The trust has historically traded at a premium to Bitcoin, but has since late February 2002 been stuck at a hefty discount. And why is that? Grayscale is the largest holder of Bitcoin in the world after the cryptocurrency's pseudonymous creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. So that's something to know. Grayscale, second largest Bitcoin holder, basically the first, because Satoshi more than likely is not going to do anything. So he's kind of a null in the data set. But Grayscale owns 643,000 Bitcoin, according to Treasury listings, the equivalent to 11 billion. That's pretty impressive. But why has it basically depegged? The GBTC discount emerged due to market volatility and shareholders' inability to redeem their shares. This means that it's not spot, and it means you can't redeem your shares for Bitcoin, like you couldn't redeem your shares in an ETF for gold. So I'm not exactly sure why that would be a main bearish reason for Grayscale's depegging to the spot price of BTC and why it's a discount, but that's the reason given by Decrypt.co. There's another reason down here. U.S. traded Bitcoin futures ETFs may also therefore be contributing to the discount. So there's competition, and there's a decent amount of competition in the industry, and that sometimes can make the price a little wonky. And then there's one more thing I wanted to highlight down at the bottom. No, that's a different article. So as you can see here, Grayscale is getting kind of coming into a little bit of a positive headline here with it jumping up 12%, but there's still a lot in doubt. And I think Tim was going to do a little TA on Grayscale, so we could either do that now or we could do the Coinbase one and then do both of them afterwards.
Yeah, check it out here real quick. Let's go to my screen.
Okay.
Interesting stuff here. I was talking with T-Shroom. This is an area that I don't actually know the answer to this. So this is a question I have. Maybe someone in chat knows. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do some research on this. So anytime you're looking at things like this, gaps become a very big factor to keep your eye on. This is the one that I'm not 100% certain. I know that, like, let's say there was a gap right here, and I know if the wick comes up on this candle and covers it, we're good. But does a wick on the previous candle cover a gap? And the reason I say this is because obviously this candle, it dropped down here, but ended up closing at 10:57, and then the next day opened up around 10:11, leaving a gap here that this wick technically covers, but I'm not certain if that covers it. And what I'm kind of getting at is a lot of traders, when they're looking at gaps, you'll see a little bit of a rally or a fall, depending on where the gap is, to cover that gap eventually. Sometimes the answer is no, especially if the coin is dying. But some things I'm looking at here on a longer time frame, there is a massive gap right here between 1614 And let's just say the wicks get to cover it, 1753. So I'm not saying it's going to pop up and hit it tomorrow, but watch potentially here in this gap here on Grayscale Bitcoin Trust as it begins to get back up to that level. That's a gap that's filled. It has several other ones as well. We got one up here at around $23. As you start to get back up towards the peak, you have another one up here at 50. That's going to be a while more than likely before we see that one filled. But similar to like over here, for example, when we were back in April of 2021, we had a little gap right here. It took a very long time. We had lots of gaps here. Guess what? We ended up coming back down and closing that gap during the fall. But we didn't make it back up and close this gap. So historically, we had another one developed right here. We came and we dropped back down and filled that gap. So that's something to keep your eyes on. We got a lot of gaps above us and not that far out of reach. So potentially, could we see some bullish pressure come back in on Grayscale Trust? Can we see them go and close these gaps once again? When we're looking at our oscillators, we're not overextended. This is similar to Bitcoin, everything else. Yes, it's on a little bit. It has some nice green candles here over the last couple of days, just like the rest of the crypto market. But it's not overextended. I'm sure if we went down to the 4-hourly chart, the RSI is high, but we're not even necessarily sitting in a spot where I'm yet looking at a place for some bearish RSI divergence. We do not really have oversold. There's, again, very small cloud saying overbought at the moment on the 4-hourly chart, but nothing major. So I think the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, we could see it today move a little even more to the upside. And again, so the question is where to? On the daily chart, again, gaps above us. We got a gap up here. I would say, right, we still have a gap right in here at around 1378. And of course, there's that really big one. That's probably a little bit out of reach for today, but watch potentially as we start to make our way back up there if we can fill those gaps within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the Coinbase story here, which is, go over to my screen here. So this is Brian Armstrong, and he is the CEO of Coinbase. And basically, he's had a couple of things to say about the layoffs.
Tisha, if you shave your beard, you two could be brothers.
Me and Brian Armstrong.
Go back to Brian.
I don't know about that.
I don't know.
We'll see. Just because he's bald.
Similar hair pattern.
Well,
I think it's a semi-similar shape of facial structure.
I don't know, folks. Let us know in the chat. He's good at identifying patterns in price charts, but is he good at identifying whether or not people look similar? I think on this one, Tim, you may be shooting short.
I'm shooting. Let's see. Let's get those 2,000 subs and then shave your beard, and then we'll do a side by side.
Yeah, that's you guys got to hit Twitter hard, hit Facebook, call up your grandmother, call up your sister and your brother, and all your kids, and have them subscribe to the Investing Bros, and that'll be really, really good. Eric Wallen said T-Shroom is more handsome. LOL.
Wow.
Well, and see, that's a statement that I could get behind. I agree with that.
Eric just won 27 T-Shroom points.
That's true. And those T-Shroom points are redeemable for nothing. So let's move into this story. That is the CEO of Coinbase, who apparently is my twin, thanks Tim, and no one else. Let's get into the details here. Remembering that the headline is about a labor shed within the company. So the exchange plans to cut 950 jobs, according to a blog post published Tuesday morning. Coinbase, which had roughly 4,700 employees as of the end of September, already slashed 18% of its workforce in June, citing a need to manage costs and growing too quickly during the bull market. So with perfect hindsight, this is a quote from CEO Brian Armstrong in an interview with CNBC. With perfect hindsight looking back, we should have done more. The best you can do is react quickly once information becomes available, and that's where we are. That's where we are in this case. Sounds like Jerome Powell. The layoffs, along with other restructuring measures, will bring Coinbase's operating expenses down by 25% for the quarter ending in March. That's a really good sign if you're a Coinbase shareholder. It becomes clear that we would need to reduce expenses to increase our chances of doing well in every scenario, and there was no way to do so without reducing the headcount. Again, quotes by Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase. He continues by saying, "We may not have seen the last of it. There may be an increase. There will be increased scrutiny on various companies in the space to make sure they're following the rules." Armstrong said, "Long term, that's a good thing, but short term, there's a lot of market fear." So he's actually talking about prices at that point, and also collapses and bankruptcies within the crypto exchange industry. So just to be clear there, I didn't lead that one in super well. But yeah, so he's not super bullish on the crypto exchange industry as a whole. Obviously, he would be bullish on his own company, but saying that there will be increased scrutiny. We know that's coming. We know regulation is coming. And this is the article where there's a highlight at the very bottom. So if you look at the internet era, the best companies got even stronger by having rigorous cost management. He said that's what's going to happen here. So Tim, I want you to do a little TA on Coinbase, but kind of the takeaway for me here is that, Brian Armstrong, you're the CEO of a company, and he's having to pick himself up by the bootstraps and say, hey guys, you're non-essential workers and you're going to have to be fired, unfortunately. I'm assuming there's probably a decent severance package for these guys, and it's not like they can't get picked up at other companies who would be glad to bring on these guys. And I'm sure that Coinbase is doing everything they can to get those people reemployed. But ultimately, when you're in a bear market, you got to shed. You gotta shed excess costs, and I doubt that they're losing people who aren't essential. But at this point, the folks that they're losing and that they're shedding are being deemed here non-essential. So we're ready for that, TA?
It's not we don't have money, so let's get rid of them. It's actually there to help make everything better. They're going to give up on some projects they just don't see being successful anytime soon.
Exactly.
Which means they will be hiring again in the future, and maybe those people go to the top of the list
definitely.
to be rehired. Hopefully they have other jobs and they don't need that. But I think this could be a long-term bullish move for not only Coinbase themselves, but I think for the crypto market, especially as we're starting to see exchanges be more responsible with money. Like, this is a responsible money move.
Mm-hmm.
You hate to see people laid off. That is something that really sucks. But what you do love, especially if you own stock in Coinbase, is you love to see your CEO and your leadership team be responsible with finances.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just saw, obviously, with FTX, how irresponsible that team was with finances. The numbers keep coming out on all the ways they wasted money over there. So I think bullish for trust in Coinbase is watching them do this. Sad for those 950 employees, and potentially, like I said, there could be more. Before you get into on the project long term.
Before you get into the TA, I want to hear what the chat has to say, and I want to hear what you have to say, Tim, about the following question: does a crypto exchange need to be publicly traded in any country? It doesn't have to be the U.S., but do they need to be scrutinized by a regulatory entity that can peer into their books and say, hey, you guys are in breach? Based on what we've experienced so far in the crypto exchange industry. And the big elephant in that question is Binance.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to give my answer first and then hear chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're going to be delayed.
I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I think that it would be very good for exchanges to be regulated actually pretty heavily. I think one of the ways you can have that, with Coinbase being now on the NASDAQ, because that's what I'm about to look at, is a NASDAQ offering for Coinbase. With the fact that it does have shareholders, with the fact that it does have that stuff, I think it's going to be easier for them to be transparent in the sense of that they have to be. It'll be harder for Coinbase to get away with some of the things that we saw other projects get away with. Not that I'm trying to throw Binance under the bus because they're not regulated and they don't have necessarily a shareholders meeting, but like there is such a thing as like saying like, hey, like if we can mandate transparency for these centralized exchanges, I think they're trustworthy for people who want to get in and get new, because Coinbase is probably the easiest way right now to, if you don't know anything about crypto, if you want to get invested, Coinbase is up there as one of the easiest ways to get in there.
Correct.
However,
and Robinhood.
I think it also could push some pressure into maybe people, especially more experienced people, know what they're talking about, getting over into DEXs. And that's where I want to see DEXs not necessarily be heavily regulated. DeFi protocols not be heavily regulated. I think they're going to be, but if I could have my perfect world, see centralized exchanges heavily regulated. And then potentially even, if they want to go that route, offer stocks. And then DEXs and other DeFi protocols. Leave those things unregulated, because that is not a centralized authority coming in here to steal power.
No, you're absolutely right. I think we need to do a video on DEXs, actually, because a lot of people may not know what a DEX is and the difference between decentralized, centralized exchange. We'll have to do a video on that. Yeah.
Well, let's look at that chart really quickly. Nothing necessarily special, although this one is definitely it's one that's overextended. We still have a green cloud on the top of the Luxembourg oscillator on the daily chart saying it's oversold at the moment. And again, there's a lot that we could talk about here. I expect us to jump back up into, we got some heavy volume in this region, anywhere between 48 and up here around 93 or whatever. Watch it go back to the upside again with even these layoffs. This isn't instantaneous. I don't think 950 people lost their jobs today.
No.
This is going to be over the period of the rest of quarter one into quarter two. But watch as they're able to save expenses and get their shares up. This will result in people gaining trust in them, and this stock will go back to the upside. What we have here, there's not necessarily much else I could talk about. I guess that we kind of have a slight falling wedge pattern kind of developing here on the chart. If I were to go up here to this wick, bring it back down. Yeah, so this one, you could say we're getting back to a resistance level of a falling wedge pattern. This would give us a breakout of, let me go ahead and do the height of this one. Over to the breakout point. Let's pretend we break through here. It could send us back up towards $97 here for a Coinbase share. Very interesting happening there. Let's continue to watch the story develop. Let's continue to watch the chart. But it is overextended to the downside. It is oversold. And so for those reasons, I think there's going to be a lot of investors. I'm not saying they're going to go like crazy on it, but people are maybe a little more favorable on Coinbase after this news and looking at that chart.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty good. So let's go ahead and jump into this final story, which is about Mark Cuban here. So Mark Cuban getting himself into a little bit of hot water, unfortunately. I like the guy. I think he's a cool guy. But I mean, look who's in the news these days. It's Kevin O'Leary and it's Mark Cuban. So the Sharks are swimming into maybe some water that's too hot for them. So let's get into that. The details for that. So American billionaire Mark Cuban has been ordered to depose in court next month as part of an ongoing lawsuit against him by disgruntled customers of bankrupt crypto lender Voyager, who allege Cuban misrepresented the firm in promotional materials. And you might be thinking, oh, he probably just made some statements, but there's nothing they can get him on legally. Guys, these statements are kind of damning, and you're going to see what they are. So, and in addition to Mark Cuban, 2 Dallas Maverick employees will also depose before February 23rd, and 3 plaintiffs will deliver their depositions later this month. This is relevant because Mark Cuban owns the Dallas Mavericks. Does he own it flat out? Is it just all his?
I mean, he's not the 100% owner. I don't think there's a single team where there's a 100% owner.
But he's an owner.
He's the majority owner, yeah.
So here's what he said, guys. This and strap in because these are rough. He said, as close to risk-free as you're going to get in the crypto universe, describing Voyager. And he also said, fully compliant and licensed crypto broker. So his lawyers definitely have their work cut out for him defending Cuban with those statements. And if you're unfamiliar with what Voyager is, after Terra Luna's collapse, Voyager was one of several lenders that were affected by subsequent liquidity issues, eventually leading to the firm's filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in July of 2022. So Mark Cuban, maybe there was some foreshadowing. We covered it. Some foreshadowing when he called out gold as worthless, and that if you own it, you're dumb as F. We talked about that. And so, maybe that was a little bit of foreshadowing to what was to come. Where he was really anxious in that episode is with Bill Maher, as his lawyers were kind of up his neck saying, hey, you got to do something about this. So what do you think? Do you think Mark Cuban is going to get out scot-free on this one, or do you think he's going to have to pay the piper?
We'll have to see. Poor thing for that show Shark Tank.
Yeah.
At this point, half their participants are in hot water and cannot be trusted. I mean, I think Kevin O'Leary. I don't know if he's going to get fired, but I think especially Kevin O'Leary. It's not just crypto people that he pissed off. He pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah.
With all the stuff he was doing at FTX. Mark Cuban's always been that kind of guy that's like, he'll say things that are so inflammatory that some people don't like him, but other people will love him for those inflammatory comments. I don't know. He's a powerful man. They find ways. People like that find ways to get out. But I don't know. I'm interested to watch as that story develops. I can't give an honest answer if I'm going to predict. I guess I'm gonna go out on a limb here and just make a predict. I predict he's going to get away scot-free somehow. That's
my prediction as well. Although these comments are very damning, and if I was accused of doing something this, I would be totally screwed. I'd be buried. Yeah. But this man's got connections, and he's got a little thing called American Fiat. And he's going to be A-okay, unless bigger forces want to scapegoat him.
Yeah. I'm looking up, by the way, someone asked, they said look up, they thought that he was complete owner. I can't find if he's the 100% owner of Dallas Mavericks or not. I just know rarely is the majority owner the main, like, normally they own like upwards of like 80%, and then the others scattered amongst like hundreds, if not thousands of people. But I don't know. I'll do more digging. I mean, not that I think anyone really cares that much, but it is interesting. I don't think he's 100% owner. But T-Stream, I think, is that everything we have for today's show?
It is everything we have for today's show.
That's going to wrap it up. Guys, make sure you stay tuned this afternoon at 3 p.m. We're going to be putting out an Ethereum price prediction video. We did have a headline that came out about Ethereum, another update. Of course, we're waiting on the, what's the update called? It's
for Cardano?
No, for Ethereum. It's called, I got to look at really quickly.
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue.
It's got a name, and I don't know why. Shanghai. The Shanghai update is coming very, very soon. And there's something very interesting developing on the charts that's going to give us a price prediction, but you got to wait until this afternoon to watch that video. Make sure you stay tuned. If you have not already, right now we got 81 people watching, 86 likes, which means we have more likes than viewers, but I think there's a couple of you out there that potentially have not hit that like button just yet. Make sure you go ahead and smash that mitten before you go out. We love all of you guys. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. I will see you there. Have a great day.